Hello and welcome to Doing Business in Rwanda. I'm Arnold Segawa, and on this edition of the show, we'll be looking at the IPAD Rwanda Infrastructure Forum, which sought to bring together all the stakeholders in the energy sector, from generators, multilateral institutions, financial institutions, not forgetting distributors across Sub Saharan Africa, in a bid to electrify the continent and get rid of that magic number that we see every other day. I'm talking about the 635 million Africans who have never seen a light in their lives. This is Doing Business in Rwanda. The role of development partners has been fundamental in Africa's electrification journey. So what are many of the partners doing today? What are their commitments to the journey to make electricity accessible to the entire continent?
It's not so much criteria, it's do you have a bankable project? Do you have a project that is commercially viable, for which you need either financing, feasibility studies, assistance on the regulatory framework, what have you? We can help with that. So as I said, there is a whole range of toolkits. So just in our toolkit, so under OPIC, we can provide financing and mitigation tools, including direct loans, guarantees, political risk insurance to support, and this is key, U.S. private sector investments. This goes throughout Sub-Saharan Africa. It is not limited to single country projects or regional projects. It can do both, and there is no limit as long as it's Sub-Saharan Africa. And there is a U.S. entity involved in it. It does not have to be fully U.S. owned. The USAID provides expert technical advice, transactional support. As I said, we have a transaction advisor here in Rwanda that is at private sector's disposal, as well as at the government's disposal and the regulatory body's disposal, to help provide technical assistance in getting through the hurdles that any particular project is facing, whether that's a transmission project, an off-grid project, a mini project, or a regional project, or a generation project. So we do all of the above and can do more. Through the Millennium Challenge Corporation, this would not apply in Rwanda because Rwanda is not an MCC country, but it does apply for some of our regional programs. They can provide grants for power infrastructure projects and technical assistance both. They are a grant-making body, not a loan-making body. So they're very interesting where there is MCC country involvement.
For Rwanda, and for the current funding cycle, the 11th European Development Fund, which started in 2014 and will go until 2020, we have allocated 200 million euros of grant money for Rwanda. Other sources of funding for Rwanda are our two regional programs covering East and Southern Africa and also Central Africa, and we have also Pan-African and more global programs that can benefit to Rwanda.
On the focus there is essentially on renewable energy and energy efficiency, which attracted 5 billion euro of lending last year. Looking closer to this region in Sub-Saharan Africa, we actually invest about 25% of our lending portfolio goes to the energy sector as well across these three areas: generation, transmission, and distribution.
The Export-Import Bank mitigates country and commercial risk for U.S. exporters. Again, there has to be a U.S. exporter involvement in your project, but it doesn't have to be U.S. owned. It offers export credit insurance, loan guarantees, and direct loans to private and public sector foreign buyers of U.S. capital equipment and services, as well as for projects that are including those items. USTDA funds projects and planning and partnership building activities to develop energy infrastructure. Again, they're including transmission lines, mini projects, regional projects, and macro projects, including transmission lines. USTDA has in particular done a lot of work on both solar projects here in Rwanda, as well as on mini hydro, so they're quite familiar with the area, as has both EXIM and OPIC.
So now that we know where the development partners' commitments lie, we hear from the unsung heroes. the logistics companies that supply energy moguls with logistical support.
Leaders in that particular sector in East Africa. We have been involved in many infrastructure projects now in the region, and we hope, of course, that with this conference here now also we can pass on some of the knowledge we have gained, some of the experiences we have made, also to the stakeholders in the energy sectors, be it contractors, be it the government. And we feel, of course, that we can contribute very positively to that.
With the prominence of the East African community, questions around pooling energy across Eastern Africa have become very prominent. Question is, what does this mean for logistical companies if labor mobility and borders are a thing of the past?
For us, it has really made things a bit easier in respect of movement across borders. It has made the process much easier for our clients. We now have a system, a single customs territory, where Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya are part of it, Tanzania is part of it, where the facilitation of movement of cargo is made much easier. The facilitation of customs clearance is made much easier. So all in all, it is a big benefit to our clients, and it has really given a big difference to our clients in respect of costs also. Costs have reduced and has sped up the processes. So it's a very, very positive development. We hope that some other countries will be able to join that union. I know South Sudan is also in the process of joining it. So the more countries are involved in it, the better for our clients, for the governments, and of course eventually also for us.
Right. In terms of electrification, Tunisia is one of the few African countries that stand out. The North African country has managed to achieve 100% rural electrification, a feat many Sub-Saharan African countries seek to achieve. So what lessons can we learn from Tunisia?
Steg International Service is a Tunisian company, is a branch of the public company, Tunisian Company of Electricity and Gas. As you can know, in Tunisia, all the people, they have electricity. So the electrification rate, access rate to electricity is 100%. And after 50 years of experience, we create this company, Steg International Services, to share this experience with our brother in all the African countries. So our main objective is to share and to contribute by our know-how acquired during this half of century with our brother in the Sub-Saharan countries. As you know, in the Sub-Saharan countries, the deficit and the access rate is low. So, and the electrification is a challenge, a big challenge, for mostly for about the cost, because the rural electrification is very, very expensive, and the generation also. So with our know-how, we can contribute and we can make this to win some, to win both in time of implementation and in costs. Steg International Service is a company, is a model of the public and private partnership, because there is the national company who has 30% of the shares, but the remaining part, 65%, is private. So to deal with the government and with the Agency of Rural Electrification is not difficult, because we deal with them through international tenders, through competition. So there is no specific, but we have the advantages, because we are from as we can say, as expert, because we have this know-how of generation, transmission, distribution, operation, maintenance, feasibility study, all the cycle of that needs the activities we maîtrise, and we have the know-how very well.
Right.
So there is no, but we can add not only our contract with the government or agency, not only the implementation of the project, but the transfer of our know-how to our brothers and our colleagues of this agency for electricity.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Doing Business in Rwanda. Interesting timing as the president-elect in the United States, Donald Trump, takes office very soon. We are also asking, what does this mean for the Power Africa initiative, where over 10,000 megawatts might be in the balance when it comes to being added onto the grid here in Sub Saharan Africa? For any feedback, be sure to send an email to dbi@abn360.com or tweet us at our Twitter handle, DBI Rwanda. I'm Arnold Sagawa, and from the entire Doing Business in Rwanda team, thank you for watching.